Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
For live.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
This live
Are you
talk.
ready?
Live
Are you
talk.
ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for live talk?
Yeah.
Because it's about time to set it off.
on.
Are you ready?
Let's go.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for live talk?
Yeah.
Because it's about time to set it off.
Live talk. This live talk. Live talk. Living in vital energy. The universal language spirituality. Living in vital energy. The universal language spirituality. We're going all the way live with it. With live talk, increase your mentality, put away carnality, and increase your spirituality. Let's
Are you
go.
ready?
Live talk.
Are you ready?
This live talk.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for live talk? Because it's about time to set it off. Greetings and welcome to Live Talk. I am your host, Arthur Yeremia, alongside my co-host, Minister Samuel.
Welcome again to Live Talk. Great day today.
All right. So today, brother, well, first and foremost, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing wonderful, sir. How about you today?
You know what? I had a long night, bro. And I'm still somewhat recovering, but it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I'm really looking forward to the program today. So it's gonna be all good.
Hopefully, this will be your booster.
Right.
Lift you back on up into the day.
Exactly.
The long nights can't catch up.
Tell me about it. All right. So, are you ready, brother?
Yes, sir. I mean, I'm looking forward to this. We got a great show today.
Awesome. That's right. So before we get into this program today, I want to just give you a rundown of what the show looks like. First, we'll open up with the minister giving us a word of today, and then we'll go to a short commercial break. And then right after the commercial break, we'll bring on our special guest for this afternoon. And we'll have that conversation with our special guest, who is Lawvawn The Saxman Extraordinaire. So make sure that you tune in and stay tuned to that, because that's going to be powerful. But right after that, we're going to go to another commercial break. And then when we come back from that, we'll have some certain things, some tips in society that we may want to give you. And then also the book reading of the day, we'll have that. And then we'll close out with announcements and what we're looking forward to as far as our next program. So with no further ado, Minister, what is the word of today?
Well, the word of the day for today is destiny.
Destiny.
We're going to talk a little bit about destiny.
Am I reaching your destiny?
Yeah, reaching your destiny. What is destiny? Being a part of your destiny.
All right, destiny. All right, brother.
Yeah, it's a lot in destiny. So we'll start from the beginning. Get just some background and definitions on destiny. Destiny is thought of as the things that someone will experience in the future. It is a power, or considered a hidden power, that is believed to control what happens in the future. It can be considered the predetermined or inevitable course of events. Destiny is thought or is considered to also be what is meant to be. Some people talk about destiny and consider it fortune, fate. It can be considered predestination. Others, it is a divine decree. It is the will of the Most High. Some consider it karma, your lot or your portion. But destiny, it has two sides of destiny, if you want to look at it. And you can have a positive side of destiny and a negative side of destiny. For example, if you're born, for example, into a wealthy family, your destiny is normally to be wealthy.
Yeah.
Or if you're born into a family, a musical family, then you kind of destined to be one that's musically inclined.
That's it.
But then the other side of that is if you were born into poverty and crime, generally your destiny is to lead to being more poverty and crime.
Yes, sir.
But I would like to put out there when we talk about destiny, even though it can be considered preordained, you can actually work on changing, or you can not change, or rather you can create your own destiny. Like we as individuals and as a people specifically should want to take control and determine our own destinies. And this can be done by the way that we live our lives and the things that we do. So if you're destined for success, you want to stay on that journey.
That's right.
But if you're destined for failure, then what you want to do is change.
Take a detour.
Take a detour, get off that road and get on the road that leads to the highway of success.
There you go.
So your destiny can change because it is predetermined, but it's predetermined based on your steps.
That's it. That's it. You know, you said some things. I had to make note of it because you say hidden power believed to, and I think you said withhold what happens in the future, something like that. Okay. Yes. And then the will of the Most High. I think that's very powerful because it's some things like, for instance, on my Instagram, shout out to my Instagram, Jeremiah Yisrael, follow me on Instagram. But on my Instagram page, I talk about different ways of attaining, your purpose in life, because that's within my book. And I talk about steps in defining that purpose. And of course, we talk about the name, my name's being a part of that because it defines who you are and it gives you a purpose in life. But when you're talking about like destiny, like you can create that, I talk about steps. You have to write down steps in order to accomplish that, because a lot of times life can present a lot of things to you, distractions and things of that nature. Yes. And if you don't have a map, I say like a road map, like you're saying, to define where you're going, then you can easily get distracted and be detoured off to another destiny. Yes. And see, that's what's been our issue. But one of the things, I want to kind of share a definition as well. Okay. Like in destiny, it's a invincible necessity. Wow. Then say fate, a necessity of fixed order of things established by divine decree. Yes. Or by an indissoluble connection of cause and effect. That's what you was talking about. Like if you're in a situation, now you can be in one of those situations, yes, like coming, in the inner city and going through some of the poverty and crime, but you can choose to do some things that could change your, yes, outcome. Or you can choose to kind of go with the flow of things. And then the outcome of that is considered your destiny, but that's the negative part, what you're talking about. There's a negative and a positive side of that. And I think we can create that when we take control of our destiny. And that's a part of taking control of your destiny, when you can define that. And I think that's very powerful, what you said. And then another synonym to that is faith. And we're talking about fate as far as F-A-T-E, not faith, but fate. And one of the definitions, I'm gonna share this here real quick, and then I'll open it back up for a little dialogue on that. Okay. But faith refers to the inevitability of a course of events as supposedly determined by a God, we talked about that, or other agents beyond human control. Yes. Now we know spiritually, we put that in context of, what the scripture talks about, but we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right, but against principalities, against powers, those in wicked. Well, what do they say? Against spiritual wickedness in high places. So we know that we're dealing with a lot when it comes to us as a people, as saints. I'm gonna say saints. Yes. Because see, there's a group of people that's in high places that try to create a certain destiny for those that are beneath them.
Yes.
And see, they think they have that power to do so. But see, we have a great and mighty God that have set the order for our lives that we need to be very mindful and conscious of, so that we stay on the right path and don't get off that path. But there are spiritual wicked ones that are in place that are seeking to create some type of destiny that allows for you to fall into that trap.
Right. And
we don't want to get caught up in that trap of, going down that wrong path. We talk about the pride, path to destruction and that narrow path. We don't want to get caught up on that.
Right.
So we really want to make sure that we're on that path, understanding our destiny so that we stay on track. And a lot of us don't understand that, so we get off track. So we lose our focus and our destiny.
No, I agree. You hit the nail on the head with the hammer, because if you want to relate it to the Most High, He has a divine order or divine laws. Or if you want to be spiritual and you say there's universal principles in the universe that where what goes around comes around. When you put out a positive, you get a positive back. But when you put negative, you put negative back. That is the way the most. So there are things that are predetermined through fate. But if you're doing the right things, you're going to get the right outcome. But when you do those negative things, and that's what unfortunate a lot of people think, especially when we talk about spiritual wickedness in high places, they'll put a group of people, specifically people of color, and say you're destined to this outcome. And if you follow what has been predetermined for you, yes, that is your fate.
Right.
But if you connect yourself with the Most High, or you get universal and take that detour that you're talking about and follow those divine principles, then your fate changes totally. And then those the spiritual wickedness in our places can't touch you. But it's up to you to truly determine your destiny, because your destiny is laid out, but it's the choice of which road you take where that destiny takes you.
And you said that so beautifully, when it comes to defining that purpose and knowing, trying to create that destiny for yourself. You said it so well that I can't even add too much to that. But to say that when we're seeking like the order of life, to your point, we have to be engaged with those principles of life. And those principles come through that's the spiritual nature. Like a lot of times, we have the Holy Scriptures, and and some of us we order our life around the Holy Scriptures. I know we do. And whether you're Buddhist or whatever you are, there's a certain principle that you have that you order your life around. And then there's an innate part of us that the Most High speaks to. And that's an order of our life as well. Because I think sometimes we get stagnant in maybe it was something we may have read, or maybe something we have heard. But see, when you believe in the Most High, you know that He's a living God. Right. That means He's constant. That means He's always ordering your life. So you have to
don't see
that force that you don't see. And that order of life is very important outside of just the things that you may see as far as what's been said or what's been told or what you read. There is an innate part of that moves us spiritually that we have to stay in tune with. And that comes from myself, meditation, staying in one with yourself, and making sure that you're listening to that voice. So I think that's a very powerful word. We probably can continue on with that word.
On destiny.
On destiny. But I'm pretty sure that our guest today can tell us all about destiny and becoming who he is today. But we're going to get right into that. When we come right back, we're going to go to a short commercial break, and we'll be back and we'll introduce our guest to you. We'll be right back. Hey, shalom and blessing, y'all. This is Author Jeremiah Israel coming to you live. Listen, I'm so excited because my ebook version of The Spiritual Significance of a Name is now available. You can go to my website today at www.jeremiahisrael.com. Now, this ebook is pretty much available anywhere and everywhere that ebook is sold. I'm so excited about that because, see, ebooks are sold internationally, but I would like for you to go to my website at www.yeremiahisrael.com, pick up your copy, or you can go ahead and download the ebook version of it. Whether you're on a plane, whether you're traveling, whatever you're doing, pick up this copy. It's only $4.99. It's not going to break your pockets and not going, break the bank. So go ahead and get the copy of this ebook now, today, $4.99. Go to YeremiahIsrael.com and truly become blessed, because it will truly put you on a path to defining your true purpose. Until next time, peace and prosperity. All right, welcome back to Live Talk. And as we mentioned before, we're going to get ready to bring on our special guest for this afternoon. Now, before we bring him on, I just want to bring him on right. So give me a moment here. This brother is known all over the nation and respected by thousands. He is an educator, a public speaker, philanthropist, and a dedicated brother to the Most High God, L.I.V.E, Yahweh. Just to name a few things. Now, that's just a few things about this brother. In addition to that, he has exuberant passion for good music. Now, keep in mind, I said good music now. I ain't just say music. In fact, this is what makes him who he is today. And I have the privilege and the honor of knowing this brother and being able to schedule him to come on to this show, because this is a very busy brother. And we really thank him for coming on to the show. So, with no further ado, let's give a warm welcome to my brother and friend, Lawvawn The Saxman Extraordinaire.
Praise Yahweh. Shalom, shalom. Praise Yahweh. I'm so humbled at that beautiful introduction, my brother.
All right.
Shalom, alaikum, brother Samuel. How you doing, sir?
Welcome. So glad to have you with us today.
Yes, sir.
Listen, we have a lot to talk about, brother.
Yes, sir. Let's talk, brother.
All right. See, I'm gonna get right into it, because see, you're renowned. I know you're a renowned musician, and you have played in many arenas around the nation, and you have been on stage with some of the greatest, the best. I done seen it with my own eyes, and I done seen you perform right beside some of the industry standard, the good ones. I done seen you stand side by side and put on a concert and a show, and it just put me at art, brother. So we have to bring you onto the show, and then we just had to talk about like where this began, like where did it start at? So what age, this is gonna be my first question, what age was the time when you first picked up an instrument? And at that time, how intrigued was you about the instrument that you picked up, or music itself?
Well, I tell you, I was at the age of 12 when I started music. I remember I had a choice to either do music or art. I was also very well into art as well too. And so I started studying different artists and different techniques that artists were using. And so, like I said, I was presented with the alternative of either I had to choose between music and continuing learning art. And so at that particular time, I said, well, I choose music. Let me go in the direction of music, because most of my family were musicians. And I'm like, okay, let me start exploring this thing that I see my family is into. And so that's when I began learning how to play clarinet. I started off with clarinet. And one thing, I played clarinet for several years, and then I was about to put a band together, and I'm like, well, I'm looking at different bands. I'm like, I noticed clarinets are not in the band. I'm like, I started looking. I'm like, okay, well, this ain't gonna work too well. And so I said, well, I got to start learning another instrument. So that's when I actually started substituting saxophone. And I remember I told the band director, yeah, I knew how to play, but I really didn't know how to play. But I told her I knew how to play, and she put me in the jazz band. And she found out I really didn't know how to play, but she told me to take the horn home and start practicing it. And so that's what I did. And so next thing you know, I started getting better and better and better. And then when I really got to high school, it really uh, sparked my attention because I learned of the different things that I could accomplish as far as being a musician. And so that's when I met this gentleman by the name of Charlie Austin. And Charlie Austin is the one that like took my music to a whole nother level, a whole nother plateau. And that's when I really began studying, got serious with music, and really began learning what this thing called music actually was. And when I graduated from him, we had such an incredible program at our high school that the superintendent for music had it where all the students in the Dade County area could be bused to our school for the music program or the arts program that we had. It was called Payback at that particular time, which was a performing arts thing. And this was like the creme de la creme of the musician and the creme de la creme of the dancers and the singers. And we created this program that they wanted to duplicate. And so when I graduated out of high school, I actually graduated with like a master's degree in music
Wow.
out of high school,
Wow.
and the Most High had blessed me with so much information. It was just incredible. I just thank him for giving me, the knowledge to even go in that particular direction. And so it was through him I was able to gain scholarships. I sat in all county first chair clarinet. I was also all state. I didn't have enough to go into all American, but I did play in all state as well. And like I say, it's been a very fulfilling venture. I had no idea, what I was starting when I started it, but
Gotcha.
it has taken me places.
So you kind of perfected that clarinet then.
Oh man, I loved it. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And most people don't even know how to play clarinet.
I was just going to ask that because, this is another question, but we'll get into this one later. I know you played many saxophones, but I didn't know you still play the clarinet then.
Yes, sir. I still play the clarinet.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, as of yesterday, I was doing a recording on clarinet.
Let me ask you a question because you said a lot about your background and kind of where you started and where we're going. And I want to go back a little bit farther to even in the beginning, because if I remember, you told me that you came from a music family. And
yes,
it
sir.
was a little deeper about what used to go on when you were younger, and like we because today's word was destiny, and it's fitting because basically from the family you came from, it was destined for you to be a musician.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you even go back to those younger days?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go back for you on that one. I tell you this, when I was younger, I grew up around music. I grew up going to concerts, seeing orchestras perform, My dad, my uncles, they were all in orchestra. They had bands, high school bands and junior high school bands. And we were always at concerts. And, you know, my uncle had a recording studio in his house. And we used to listen to the different recordings of his band and my dad's band and my different uncles' bands. And it was just my childhood in music was just incredible. So at that particular time, I didn't know, but my ear was developing. And I was developing an ear for good sounding music. And I had an appreciation for good music. And as a matter of fact, I started off with clarinet, but I actually, the instrument in the beginning was piano.
Wow.
Okay.
And I learned piano. I basically taught myself piano, and I think I had like one piano lesson when I was younger, and I was so bored I never went back to her again. And so from that particular point, I started teaching myself. And you know, hey, so like I said, my grandfather was a musician, my dad was a musician, my mom, my two uncles were musicians, and all of their friends, every last one of them were musicians. So when we got together at my house, we wouldn't get together to just they wouldn't get together just to talk. They get together and they got on their instruments. So it was a jam session all the time at my house.
Okay. They're having a different type of communication, huh?
Exactly, a whole different another type of communication, you know. And it was communication that I love to, you know, listen to.
Pretty sure.
And then that's when I found out my dad played bass. And I'm like, Dad, you know, I didn't know you played bass here. Yeah. I'm like, okay, because I knew him as a saxophone player.
Wow.
Oh,
You know.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because I know you had a background, deep background, even before getting into bands and getting older. That you kind of, and and we'll talk about that too a little later. But I know it requires work. But some people have a gift, and coming from the family that you had that gift, like you mentioned, having that ear. Everybody don't have that ear, but for those who have it, it's truly a talent. It's truly a gift.
Yeah.
And you've been exercising that gift.
Well, thank you. You know what? I thank God, Lawvawn, for giving me that gift because it's definitely through him that I acquired the gift. And it's definitely through him that I'm even getting better. And I've traveled all over the United States, man. I played in every major city in the United States. I toured several artists. Blue Cantrell performed with James Brown, the original Impressions.
Oh,
I played with Melba Moore and oh man.
So you give it away your age. You better stop. You giving away your age now. you might not look it, but you giving it away.
Well, you know that's why I also said Blue Cantrell because that
Okay.
she was a recent artist.
All right.
now one thing you said, you talked about when you graduated from high school, you graduated with a master's degree in music, and then you talked about scholarships and etc. Did you choose to accept a scholarship to go to a college to learn further, or what was that?
I chose to accept going to FAMU.
Okay,
That's where I went to, and that was basically because my mom and dad went to FAMU. My grandmother went to FAMU, and my uncles went to FAMU. So it was like, okay, what college you gonna go to? FAMU. And so when I went there, I went there for 2 weeks, and it was 2 weeks of hell. 2 weeks of the worst experience. I said, man, these cats are not learning how to play instruments. They're playing around. I'm like, man, this. And I left. I had a full scholarship and left.
Wow.
because that's what, I wasn't into the mess. I was really into the seriousness of the horn. And I knew I had to, from that particular point, uh, either study on my own and get serious about it and learn, or, I was going to get another scholarship.
Mm.
And so I'm glad the Most High put me on the road of knowledge and showed me how I could do it by myself. Woo.
And that's a
Because
big
now
one.
I look,
Going to film for
I look
music,
at,
most people would be like, they'll be like jumping over, they'll be
Right,
trying to
that's the
jump over
place.
people to try to get the family to get into music. And walk away from that. That means you must have been serious about your music.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And they weren't serious as I thought they would have been. And so, but you know what? All things happen for its purpose.
Better believe
So
it.
I ended up coming back home, and that's when I found out the knowledge of the Most High Yahweh himself. He was calling me back home. I had no idea he was calling me, but that's what it was.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and we was talking. Let's continue because I mentioned them earlier about different instruments. I know you play multiple saxophones. People may not know that there are many, but how many saxes do you play? What's your favorite, and if you do, you have a favorite, and why?
All right. Now I play all of the saxophones: alto, soprano, tenor, baritone, double bass. I play all of them. However, my favorite horn that I love playing are the soprano saxophone and the alto saxophone.
Okay.
The reason why I chose those is because, number one, it's a smaller size and it's not a lot of pressure around my neck, because when you hold up a saxophone, you're using your neck as well as your fingers to hold it up. And so I didn't want a whole bunch of pressure on my neck. So that's one reason why I actually went in the direction of the soprano and the tenor.
Okay.
And I just grown to love the sound. I've loved the different variations of sounds when it comes to saxophone, because you have your great musicians out there, and what, a saxophone sounds like a saxophone, but when you put it in the hand of certain musicians, there's a certain level of competency that you hear and you recognize in their playing. See, when a saxophone player is playing, when he's improvising, he's actually putting forth thoughts, and those thoughts are not being projected by way of vocalization, but they're being projected by way of sound. He's actually giving a discourse. That's why a saxophone player can be playing and you can close your eyes and feel him. Say, man, oh my God, and you're just going off, because you're just like, man, this experience that I've had with this person is unbelievable, because he's actually having a conversation with you, and his conversation piece that he's using is his horn. And you have great people who did things like that, such as the people that I studied were Charlie Parker, John Coltrane. Those were my main people of study. And but I had other people that I listened to: Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Ella Fitzgerald, all of the greats. I listen to them today. I encourage my children to listen to them. I encourage my grandchildren to listen to them. When we have music class, one of the things that we do in music class is listen to the greats, because when you listen to them, you have a tendency to repeat those things that you hear. And so, it's very important that we mold the minds of our youth when it comes to good music, and being able to distinguish good music from bad
right.
music.
You're right on point about that, brother. And for our listening and our listening audience and our listening and viewing audience, if you want to chime in or ask a question, all you have to do is just raise your hand and we'll recognize you and you can ask, I guess, a question for the day. It seems like we have a hand that's raised. You want to can you unmute it? All right, person with your line unmuted. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and then you can go ahead with your question.
Yes, good afternoon. This is Amon in Riviera Beach, Florida. And I want to thank you all for having one of the best saxophone players that I've ever heard, Lawvawn The Saxman Extraordinaire. And I have a question for Lawvawn. I happened to be in a seminar that he did some years ago. And the question was the effects. There was I think you used the term genre, that cause people that listen to that style of music. It's a negative music or a vibration that puts you in a negative mindset. I hope I'm saying that, Brother Lawvawn.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk about that a little bit, please, sir?
Yes, sir. I definitely will.
Right.
One thing to notice is that something that you have to be conscious of, you have to be aware, you have to be looking. One thing you notice is that music has a culture to any style of music that you listen to. For example, you go to a classical concert. Think of the people that dress for a classic concert. When you go to an R&B concert, you don't go to an R&B concert dressed as you would to go to a jazz concert. The same way you dress for a jazz concert, you wouldn't go to a hip hop concert. Each one of the concerts or each one of these styles have a different culture. Just like if you would go to a what's that? What's that? The country western. It has a culture. So now what we want to understand is, you know, is to begin to understand the different cultures that are associated with the music. I'll give an important case, like for instance, rock and roll. They call rock and roll for a purpose. Rock and roll wasn't just called rock and roll because they decided, hey, let's call this rock and roll. Well, you have to understand the culture behind rock and roll and the effects that it has on the minds of the people. Now, if you're constantly listening to rock and roll or constantly listen to that, their artists and the music influences you to do drugs. Rock is what? Crack cocaine.
Okay.
What's roll? Roll is marijuana.
Yeah.
You got cocaine and marijuana, and they are. That's the kind of mind you have to go in to enjoy that style of music. That's the idea that this style of music is actually going to put you in when you sit down and you listening to it. Does it affect you? Yes, it does affect you. When you think of in terms of if a teacher who's teaching the class went to the chalkboard and just got their nails and went straight down that chalkboard, you be like, oh my God. The sound would have an effect on you. That same sound that has an effect on you is the sound that is produced from different vocalizations, different musicians, different artists. So, that's why we have to always be conscious and cognizant of what is produced from that particular genre of music.
That's it. I think that's right on point. I hope that was that answer. Well, I'm glad you was able to share that, because that was good information when it comes to, especially with our youth. We listen to a lot of different genres of music, and sometimes we don't know the effects of it when we hear it. It makes us act out a certain way, and we don't know why we acting out that way. So that was very powerful information that you shared.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I like to add to that, because like when he said that, and many may listen to rock and roll, but you need to be conscious of that's where it originated from. So there's the way you mentioned how the horn can speak to the audience, the music genre can speak to you, and it can speak based on what because it seems like you said it can speak to your subconscious mind, even if your conscious mind is not aware of it. It's speaking to your subconscious mind.
Yes, sir. You better believe it, 100%. Yes, sir, it is. And that's how we have to surround ourselves with nothing but good vibration. Sit down, train yourself to listen to good music. Train yourself to not listen just simply to the radio, but just turn to a jazz station. How often do you turn to a jazz station? How often do you turn to, good music and allow good music to do something to you? It does something to you. It eases your mind. When you have problems, people wanna, you know, uh, just put on some good music, lay back, and watch the Most High work on you. He will work on you, but you have to prepare your mind in the proper way by which you receive it, whatever direction He may want you to go in. So music is definitely one of them. When you think in terms of, when I read the Bible and I read about the king of Israel, his name was Saul, the first king.
Yeah.
And Saul had an evil spirit that was upon him, that was troubling him. This man just was like all out, just evil. And so David would come. David was a musician, and he played with his heart. And his playing was so angelic that it relieved Saul of the evil spirit that he had. So, music has that ability. It is therapeutic. It's food for the soul. It's food for the mind. Let your mind have a beautiful feast.
Well, I think we got another question coming in, brother. Caller with your hand raised. You should be unmuted. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and then your question.
Praise Yahweh. Can y'all hear me well?
Yes, sir, we can.
Praise Yahweh. This is Brother Yafo Seth calling from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Welcome.
Shalom, Brother Yafo.
Welcome.
Shalom. Shalom, Brother Lawvawn, Brother Samuel. Brother Lawvawn, I'm just curious if you could just elaborate a little bit on how it was to play for the Most High God and be part of Yahweh. I'd like you to elaborate a little bit on how it was to play for the Most High God, Yahweh, and to be part of Yahweh's band and your development in that. Praise Yahweh.
That was one of the most gratifying experiences I had in my entire life. Not only did I play in the band with Yahweh Ben Yahweh, Yahweh Ben Yahweh was the conductor of the band. And if you were not in the band, you didn't know the signals that Yahweh Ben Yahweh would be sending out to the band. Because he gave stuff. When the band stopped because he stopped the band, not because the band decided to stop. When the band played or the band switched different songs, it's because he switched the song, not because the band decided. That was one of the greatest experiences I had within the nation. That's when I actually toured every major city in the United States with the King as we went from city to city, spreading the word of the gospel, you know. And I thank Yahweh Ben Yahweh for choosing me, because he didn't have to choose me. He could have chose somebody else, but he chose me. And I thank him all the time for his choice. And it's that.
I'm gonna add to that.
It was a very good experience.
Even at that time, you were probably one of the most talented musicians in the band. I'm gonna go out and say that because it's probably just a fact, and that's why you are where you are today when it comes to music.
And I want to ask you, because I done been at some of your concerts. I'm gonna say concerts because I seen you put on concerts. Like you like a one man, like you show up and show out. I'm gonna tell you just like that. and just hearing your music and just trying to just kind of just parallel it to what I have seen in the industry. It's like man, you right up there with anybody. Like, I mean, I have to say you the best, is not just one of the best. So my question would be to you, knowing all this and knowing your background and the education behind it, and even having that destiny of a journey through your family, being musicians. Have you ever been like offered a label deal, and if so, why haven't you signed to any music label or anything like that?
Well, I tell you, the reason why I haven't signed to music labels is because I'm not even interested in going in that direction. That's the only reason.
Great answer.
I have zero desire to. Let me just say that to be a whore for the industry.
Yes,
when I went on tour, I saw what they do. And I'm like, man, shit. I'm glad I'm just in the band. Because with a record deal, when people get record deals, people you have a tendency to think, oh man, this person got a $5 million record deal. And man, they got it, man. They living it up. Yeah, okay, you think that. I'll give you an example. You got a $5 million record deal. Blue Cantrell, Hit 'Em Up Style. That song cost her $250,000 from Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Okay? Not only did she have a song, but number one, it had to be recorded. The $250 is just to get Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis to say, okay, we're gonna do this song for you. You got to get it recorded after that, and then you have to get your video. A video costs $500,000. That's $750,000 off top. That's one song. Now, mind you, you got $5 million, but when you talk about $750,000 for one song, how many songs do you think you're gonna get out of $5 million? Remember, an album has to consist of what? An album is going to be consisting of 12 songs, right?
Yeah, at least 10.
Yeah, okay, 10.
You're gonna make that a short album, then you're gonna be broke.
Yeah. And then the thing about it, before you can receive any type of monetary compensation, the record label has to get that $5 million back. That's not $5 million you got to just do what you want to do with it. That $5 million to produce that particular album. Now, if you got $100,000 or 500,000 at the end, then okay, well you did pretty good. But a lot of people think, well, I made it because I got 5 million. No, you didn't make it. You got a bank loan, and you have to pay that sucker back
with interest.
with thank you, with interest. Yes, it must be with interest. So, that's why I didn't want to go down that route. I said, I'm not going down that route.
Well, I'll tell you, if any inspiring artists are on this call, you may want to reconsider going that direction.
Yeah, definitely reconsider if you're thinking about going in that direction. Unless you just want to be a slave.
Pretty much, huh?
It's better off in, like the children of Israel. They said, man, we were better off in Egypt.
At least we had a slice of bread.
I want to be a slave again. I'm like, what? You want to be a what? Oh man, you got to be out of your mind. And that's the only reason why he would think like that, because he is out of his mind. He doesn't have his right mind. So, that's why I'm glad we have Live Talk, because that helps us. Live Talk is a forum that helps us get our mind back. Hey, have a great day, my friend. It helps us to get our mind back together. We got to get our mind back. We got to do things that's going to cause us to move in directions of growth, cause us to move in good directions and be producers of good, And I think Live Talk is definitely a format that provides for that. And I think, the Most High for, you guys and what you do in, presenting this format, to our brothers and sisters in the community at large, just so we can, again, have good dialogue with each other. And so we can be able to understand exactly, what's going on in the world and be able to help one another.
Right. Because I know, like right now, you do a lot of shows and events. So with you saying that, I really want to highlight like what you're doing right now, and just asking you how, like, when it comes to different events and things like that you normally do, how far do you go? Like, how far do you travel to do
if somebody wants to book the Saxman Extraordinaire?
All right, let me explain this. I booked from here to France. Okay,
it's all about that mighty dollar, huh?
Yes, sir. My motto is, if you're buying, I'm flying. If you're paying, I'm playing. So, distance is not an issue when it comes to doing a performance. Like I said, I've performed all over the world, and yeah. And one thing you can do is you can go to my website just to check some things out. It's www.Lawvawn The Saxman not extraordinaire. LawvawnTheSaxman.com. Okay. Again, that's www.LawvawnTheSaxman.com, or you can call me at my phone number 561-929-4595. Again, that's 561-929-4595. Yes, sir.
Okay. And we'll try to make sure we put that in the chat so everybody will have that. And one of the things why we wanted to highlight, and just for the listening audience, and again, if you have a question you want to ask Lawvawn, by all means, raise your hand. We'll recognize you, bring you in. But one of the biggest reasons in highlighting Lawvawn today, because we're often looking for good musicians. And there are not a lot of good musicians that are out there that's performing like he does. Now, like I say, and I'm just not talking. I'm talking about this is a one man put on a concert. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you trying to have an event like this is the brother that you want to call, because he can play it out. He play all genres. Hey, matter of fact, brother, what are the different type of genres that you play?
Well, I tell you this. I play every genre except country western, and I'm working on country western. That's the only thing that I haven't played on yet, are country western songs. But I tell you this, I actually began having an appreciation for country western one day when I performed in what's that? Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, for the Musicians Hall of Fame. James Brown was being in. Was that James Brown? No. I take that back. Again, it was still in Georgia though, with Blue Cantrell, and so we were doing it. Was she was L.I.V.E was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, so we would the band playing for L.I.V.E. So now one thing about it, we went and did our sound check, and right behind us was what's this guy named Garth Brooks and his band. And I knew that they were a country band. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be I said, I'm going to really get a laugh out of this. And I sat down in the audience, waiting for them to set their equipment up and do their sound check. There was about 11 instrumentalists. Man, and they began to play. And my mouth just dropped. I said, oh my God. These guys are virtuosos on these instruments. Oh my goodness. And from that point on, I had another level of appreciation for that particular style of music. Now, is it all good? Hey, I don't know, because I haven't studied it. But, you know, that's one thing I haven't really gotten into. I've done reggae, I've done blues, jazz, R&B, pop, swing. I do soca, which is Haitian music. I do Spanish music. I don't understand a thing I'm saying in Spanish. I'll sing a song like you want. I'll sing Bésame mucho, como se fue esta noche la última vez. They say, boy, Lawvawn, you speak Spanish? I said, no.
You sing it.
I sing it. I give you the little bumba. Se necesito un poco de gracias. You know, I give it to you, but do I know what I'm saying? No.
But you sound good when you give it to them. I want everybody to kind of know that your diversity when it comes to music. So it don't matter what you're trying to have your event for, that you can provide that type of performance. But we do have a question. We do have a question coming in. We have a hand raised. Caller with your hand raised. You should be unmuted. Give us your name and where you're calling from.
Shalom, dear brothers, sisters. Abia Athalia calling in from Holiday, Florida. This is such a powerful and just an enjoying live talk. You know, it really is. And I was so elated when Brother Lawvawn went into music and how David used it. And because I was just going to ask him that, because David's music was considered music therapy. And just so that everyone know, and I'm pretty sure you do, that evil spirit that was upon Saul was from Almighty God. We know him as Yahweh.
Yeah.
So it was from Yahweh, and David caused Yahweh to back off, you know, from Saul through music. And with that being said, quick question, because I went into something in my book. So with that being said, and known by us all, Brother Lawvawn, would you say that music is healing? And if so, can you elaborate on that? Is a certain frequency or vibration, or is it a certain type or certain instruments? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Definitely music is therapeutic. They have a lot of music therapy classes that they use for healing even right now as we speak. I remember Sister Ziva and I, we would go to different senior homes because we actually had a music therapy that we would use for seniors. And oh man, they loved the program that we put on. They were like, "Oh my God, where did you guys come from?" You know. Now, as far as the vibration, the frequency, uh, I'm not too sure with regards to it. However, I can tell you one thing is that listening to low end frequencies on a constant basis, what our people are doing to themselves, they got a car and the low frequency, you don't understand what's happening to you when you listen to that stuff. You blasting it out your car. You got cars next to you shaking, and you got your windows rolled up, and you got bass, nothing but bottom. You know, when you think of the word bass, bass means nether, the bottom, the gutter, that which is bad, that which is uninfluential, you know. But you have that type of vibration being bombarded upon your mind, upon your psyche. And not only that, you got your friends in there listening to this dumb mess, and you got your head going back and forth like you can't hear nothing. I tell you this, one thing that I think that's going to be a good investment: hearing aids. A lot of people gonna go deaf.
In these 15
You
years,
got to
invest in some
go
hearing
deaf.
aids.
Hearing aids got to be gonna be a big, big boom. You know, big boom, man. Shit. You know, people are gonna go deaf listening to that stuff. I mean, when you see when I'm in my van going, you know, different places, going to different shows, and I'm hearing your music. You got the windows rolled up. I'm like, what? And you're constantly listening to that mess. And you don't think it's affecting you? Yes, it is affecting you.
Yeah, see, you
So,
have an ear for
you know,
music, so you would hear it, but some of it out of ear have no idea what's going on. And I wanted to just add on to this because just kind of what Jeremiah has said. If you haven't had the opportunity to hear Lawvawn actually play in concert, because it is a concert, not only is he an extraordinary jazz saxophone player, but he is an entertainer, and he has a not just a appreciation and an understanding of music, but he can perform all types of good music. And I know he performs for, unfortunately, he performed, but he performed for a lot of different races. And most of the people who are calling on him don't look like us. Some don't speak like us, but because they appreciate and hear his music, they call him back and keep calling him back. So he is truly a professional at his craft. But I want to say that even with that, as a professional as you are, do you get nervous before you perform?
oh, what a question. Now, do I get nervous? Or I was just talking to I think Amon about this today. Uh the different things that I've done in my life allow me to not be so nervous when I go up to perform. I remember when I first went up to do a oration for the nation. I looked at my hand as I was being called up to the mic, and my hand was shaking like a leaf. I literally looked at my hand
Mm.
and I said, wow, I'm like, I'm literally shaking. And I couldn't control it. And I'm like, oh, Yahweh, what's going on? And so what I had to do was go to the mic, and then I just said a joke, which broke the ice. And it allowed me to then begin to flow. Do I still get nervous? Yes, I still get nervous. I'm apprehensive when it comes to performing. Once I hit my first note, that's pretty much it from there.
Okay.
That's that start.
And I got to be that first. See, one thing about me is that when I'm performing, there's several things that I'm doing. I'm an engineer, a sound engineer for my far field sound, which is what the audience hear. And then I'm engineer for my near field of what I hear. And I'm seeking to make sure everything is correct all at the same time while getting this instrument and getting ready to perform. So it's these different things that I'm listening to and these different nuances that I'm seeking to ensure that they're correct. And I make my approach to this thing of a performance. And even down to the point where I'm just simply making an announcement saying, welcoming people to whatever venue it may be. I'm listening for the sound. And that's one thing that it actually becomes like it's a good thing and it's a hindrance at the same time. Because again, because I listen to sound and I study frequencies of sound, that when I go to performances of other people, I can't listen to a performance like you would listen to. When I listen to a performance, I'm sitting down critiquing all of these different things that I'm critiquing on my show. I'm like, oh Lord Yahweh, can I just enjoy? I literally have to say to myself, LaVon, will you please just enjoy the show?
That's natural. It's gonna always happen.
Yes, because I can't sit down there and listen like you would. Right. I'm always critiquing, and I'm critiquing to see or not, if what they're doing is correct. And then also, if you're doing something correct, then I need to understand what you're doing so that I can have that correctness in my show.
Now, I'm looking at the time. Time can fly when you're having fun. And
yes,
so,
sir.
I want to ask you. I want you to be able to, share any advice at this time, like for inspiring artists such as myself. What type of advice you have for us, and then give us how we can contact you again.
Okay. I advise to any aspiring artist, anyone who seriously are looking to do music as a business, first understand that the business of music is 85% business, 15% music.
Say that one more time.
The business of music is 85% business and 15% music. Okay. Now, as a musician, to develop yourself, it takes hours of dedicated study. When you see Michael Jackson perform on the stage, and you be like, and you're in awe, you paid all this money to go see him on the stage, you're like, oh my God, this guy is great. This guy's performance is incredible. Michael Jackson was a millionaire before he even hit the stage. Michael Jackson was a millionaire when God, Yahweh, gave him the talent. A lot of people, they want to bash Joe, that Joe Jackson for what he did to those boys. But I remember, if I remember correctly, those kids were in the projects.
Yeah. And all of them
in the
successful.
beginning. When Michael Jackson died, I saw every last one of them pull up to the car to pull up to the funeral in Bentleys. That's the work of Joe Jackson. The hard work and dedication that he had, that he implemented on his sons. And when you go and you actually present this talent, that's when you begin to make the money. But you have to first acquire the talent through diligent practice, diligent rehearsals. You know, when kids are outside playing, you got to be inside playing.
That's it.
When kids are on Nintendos, playing Nintendos, that's going to give them no kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be in there grinding on your horn. If you're doing vocals, you need to be grinding on vocals. Listen to the best. I'm gonna say it like this: the best black vocalist, the best black saxophonist. Why? Because we are the best at what we do. Listen to the best and build your ear, because your ear is going to be one of your greatest assets in music. So again, you have to put in that time, sir.
How can we contact you again?
You can contact me. Well, I say the best way is to go to my webpage at LawvawnTheSaxman.com, www.LawvawnTheSaxman.com.
Well, we want to thank you for joining the show, my dear brother. We really enjoyed it. And definitely for our listening and viewing audience, make sure you go to that website. We'll make sure we try to post it on our Facebook page at Live Talk Orlando, and even on our Instagram at Live Talk ORL. So look forward to that. And then you can follow him also on Facebook. I think that's Lawvawn, right? On Facebook?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It surely is.
Okay. So please do look for our brother. You know, if you're trying to have an event or something like that, I guarantee you won't be disappointed. I guarantee you the people that you bring out will not be disappointed. All you'll be doing is calling them again. And you want to get them now because he stayed booked. So you want to get them as soon as you can. I'm going to have to call you. I got an event coming up in about a year or so, but I might need to go ahead and book you now. So I don't have to worry about that.
That's the best thing to do. That's the best thing to do.
Right. Well, again,
that'll
brother,
make sure you have a guaranteed seat.
Total for your time. And then for our listening audience, we're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Yes, sir. You're more than welcome.
Hi, y'all. This is Jeremiah, founder of Computers Unlimited International Inc. I am so excited about this shopping season. Here at Computers Unlimited, we have all that you're looking for. Check out this tablet here, only $35. It also comes with a case. We also have name brand tablets like this Dell 8-inch for only $139. How about upgrading to a sizable tablet like this here, 10.1-inch tablet for only $99. Here at Computers Unlimited, we have the deals for you. Won't you go online now to www.compunlimited.net. Happy shopping!
At Scott & Associates accounting firm, you can get your taxes done in or outside of the office by an experienced tax professional. To schedule your appointment, give us a call today at 321-754-1360. The number again is 321-754-1360. Or schedule your appointment online at www.countonscott.com.
All right, welcome back to Live Talk. I was just informed that we was out of time for any other part of the program, so we'll go straight to our wrap up. Well, we'll go straight to how you can follow us and connect with us, and then we'll wrap it on up. To stay connected to us, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Live Talk Orlando. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Live Talk Orlando. You want to come on to the show? Join us on the show? You'd like for us to interview you? Then email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com. You can also follow the host on Facebook at Define Your Purpose 2021, on Instagram at Jeremiah Israel, and you can visit the website www.jeremiahisrael.com. Make sure you pick up a copy of The Spiritual Significance of a Name. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Minister, I'll allow for you to go ahead and check out.
I'm going to be real quick. I'm going to just put another plug in and appreciation for Brother Lawvawn and let you know the Saxman Extraordinaire gives good sax 7 days a week and twice on Thursdays.
Again, and I'd just like to thank our guests for coming in, Lawvawn The Saxman Extraordinaire. And then I want to thank you, listening viewing audience, for just chiming in and being a good sport of participating as well. And I would like to say from Live Talk, from the host, I would say, peace and prosperity. And then from Live Talk, we out. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
For live.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
This live.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for Live Talk?
Yeah.
Because it's about time to set it on. Are you ready?
Let's go.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for Live Talk?
Yeah.
Because it's about time to set it off.
Live talk. This live talk. Live talk. Living in vital energy. The universal language spirituality. Living in vital energy. The universal language spirituality. We're going all the way live with it. With Live Talk, increase your mentality, put away carnality, and increase your spirituality. Let's go. Live Talk.
Are you ready?
This Live Talk.
Are you ready?
Live Talk.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready?
Live Talk.
For the word of the day, the knowledge and the wisdom will increase your faith. Are you ready for Live Talk? Because it's about time to set it off.